Good morning. You're watching a remote broadcast of Business World Live. I'm Jes Delos Santos. It's 10:30 a.m. this Friday in Manila, and we are an hour into the trading day. Let's go straight to our top story. The Philippines is getting a record loan from the Asian Development Bank with the amount set to bankroll healthcare and infrastructure projects. The Manila-based lender will be extending $4.2 billion to the Philippines this year, exceeding the $2.5 billion it lent in 2019. This will cover 11 projects, including 6 projects worth $2.75 billion, which have already been approved for financing between April and June. 5 other projects are set to be approved from August to November. These are the Competitive and Inclusive Agriculture Development Program, worth $400 million, Inclusive Finance Development Program, worth $300 million, Health Systems Enhancement to Address COVID-19 Project, worth $125 million, Disaster Resilience Program, worth $500 million, and the EDSA Greenway Project, worth $130 million. Moving on to 2021, the ADB's lending program is set at $4.12 billion for 10 projects, plus a standby loan for the Bataan Cavite project. Meanwhile, the lender maintains its earlier projection of a contraction of 2.3% to 5.3% for the domestic economy this year. ADB Country Director Kelly Bird says that while a deeper slump is expected in the second quarter, the worst is most likely over now, noting that the contraction might have bottomed out in May. He says recovery might be gradual as they are not expecting the economy to return to pre-COVID levels until 2022. Now, time to have a quick check at what's happening the last trading day of the week here. And so far, things not faring so well here for the local bourse. We are extending those declines that we saw yesterday. The index is now down 0.25% to 6,015.08. Recall that yesterday, the index struggled to stay afloat, a hair's breadth away really from sinking below that 6,000 level. And if things are going to extend in negative territory, you might actually see that happening today. Yesterday, the local shares sank 0.8% to 6,029. That is the lowest level that we've seen since June 1st. As you can see in this chart right here, we are extending those dips that we have been seeing the past number of days here. Now, Philippines Financial outlined the draggers here for the local bourse. That includes a 68% year-on-year plunge on net foreign direct investments for April. At the same time, you have also lingering concerns over the souring U.S.-China relations, with the U.S. closing Beijing's consulate in Houston, even President Trump signaling, that there might actually be more closures happening in the future. As there's also, of course, lingering concerns over the soar in COVID-19 cases, showing really no signs of letting up here. And according to Luis Limblingan of Regina Capital, it really was just a last-minute bargain hunting, which actually pushed the index up at the last minute of the trade on Thursday. There's over-optimism that a new spending bill might be signed, and at the same time, there might actually be developments of a potential COVID vaccine. But nonetheless, net foreign selling persisted to 710 million pesos. Let's have a quick check of some of our leaders and laggards, at least at the start of the day here. You have the MCI now leading the pack here in terms of our leaders. They are up 1 4/10%. Jollibee, likewise, not far behind. They are in the green, 1 1/10%. On the losing end, however, you have Bloomberry now edging lower here at 2 7/10%, as well as Security Bank. But one stock that we have to keep an eye on, and we'll be making more stories and developments on this one. ABS-CBN, after resuming trade yesterday, was actually down 30% yesterday, and they are extending those declines here earlier in the day. I was able to check. They are down close to 0.25%. But from there, let's move on over here to Philippine Airlines. This is Tan siblings. I'm talking about Vivian Tan and John Tan. They are already out of the airline's board here. Just this morning, the company released their new set of directors, and it no longer includes the two siblings here. This comes less than a year since Vivian Tan was appointed as PAL director. Now, the new directors consists of the following here. You have Lucio Tan still, of course, standing as a chairman. Carmen Tan, also part of the directors. Lucio Tan III, Joseph Chua, Yuhei Maeda, Gilbert Santamaria, and Johnny Kua, and Gregorio Yu. But that's not the only thing here that's happening for PAL. They also recorded a comprehensive net loss of as much as 10.72 billion pesos. That is, if I'm not mistaken, 10 times wider than what they had in 2019. That, of course, being the aviation industry, of course, being badly battered here by the pandemic. Yesterday, Philippine Airlines was down as much as 3%. However, things are reversing here for the stock as we start the trading day here. They are in the green, inching higher by 0.8%. Now pricing at 6 pesos and 16 centavos a piece over a 3-day period here. The stock has so far lost 3 3/4%. Now from Airways, let's move on to telcos here. Authorities have a memorandum streamlining requirements for the building of shared telco towers timeline. In fact, has been trimmed, get this, from 200 days to just 16 days. That is according to the Department of Information and Communications Technology. So what has changed? There is no more need for the following requirements here. That includes city and barangay resolutions, certificates of environmental compliance, and non-converge. There's also radiation safety evaluation reports and a true copy of provisional authority from the National Telecommunications Commission. According to authorities, issuance of permits should be done now in 7 days as in compliance to the Ease of Doing Business Act. Let's see how this news is going to bode for telco stocks, Globe and PLDT. From there, let's move on to one conglomerate here, San Miguel. They are issuing 500 million perpetual securities with a fixed rate of 5.5% per annum. This is part of San Miguel's $3 billion medium-term note and securities program. According to the company, this is meant to bolster their infrastructure push and to refinance as well their existing debts. Now, part of those infrastructure programs that we are expecting from San Miguel are, of course, the MRT Line 7. You also have the Bulacan Airport project. Now, looking at the performance of San Miguel, though, things not looking so well for them. They are in the negative zone, down 0.4%. They have dipped to 97 pesos and 85 centavos a piece. And then lastly, let's have a check at one energy player here. I'm talking about Alsons. They are confident that their renewable projects will actually remain on track. This as they remain unhampered, it seems, by the pandemic. Now, what are these projects? This includes the 14.5 megawatt hydropower plant in Maasim, Sarangani. They are expecting that to launch in 2 years' time. There's also the 22 megawatt Sindangan plant in Zamboanga del Norte. There's also the 42 megawatt Bago generator in Negros Occidental. Both, according to the company, are under advanced stages of construction. At the same time, there's also the 105 megawatt San Ramon Power coal-fired power plant in Zamboanga City. They are expecting that to be online by 2023. Looking at how things are faring, however, for Alsons here, you can see they are joining the rest of the local bourse here when it comes to sell-off here, down 0.6%, now at 1 pesos and 14 centavos a piece. Again, local bourse at least continuing those declines that we have been seeing from Thursday's trade. Here are other stories we're watching this morning. The Federation of Philippine Industries said the IATF should further ease quarantine restrictions in all main economic centers to drive the country to recovery. The group says they support Finance Chief Sonny Dominguez's call to loosen restrictions in main centers like Metro Manila and Calabarzon to find a reasonable balance between safeguarding public health and restarting the economy. The problem is, the health department has been reporting a steady increase in infections in recent days, prompting calls for a return to stricter quarantine conditions in highly populated areas, including Metro Manila. But Socioeconomic Planning Secretary Carl Kendrick Chua says the lockdown period from March to May should have given the country's healthcare system enough time to boost its capacity. He adds people need saving not just from virus, but also from other threats like hunger. Chua said the government should prioritize the reopening of mass transport systems. The FBI agrees with this, saying the IATF should start allowing more jeepneys to operate and just require both drivers and passengers to wear masks and follow safety protocols. Now, employers rejected the government's proposal for business owners to conduct random COVID-19 testing on workers every 2 weeks. In a statement, the Employers Confederation of the Philippines said that the DOH should cover the cost of maintaining public health. ECOP added that ideally, all employees should undergo swab tests instead of random rapid testing. The group also said that this will be an added burden for small businesses who are focusing on job preservation. Meanwhile, the Trade Department is requesting 500 million pesos to fund its shared service facilities program next year. This program aims to provide machinery, tools, and equipment to be shared by MSMEs. However, the Budget Department has only allocated 100 million pesos for the said project this year. The DTI is also seeking more funding from state banks for its MSME recovery program. Currently, loan applications are now over 3 billion pesos, while the SB Corp's initial funding was only 1 billion pesos. And Philippine tourism investment totaled 569 billion pesos in 2019. This provides the industry a baseline for spending, as it's expected to undergo a long recovery in the next few years. This 3.6% growth marked a rebound from the almost 35% decline in 2018. On the other hand, government spending for the tourism sector in 2019 also increased by about 23.5% compared to the previous year. This includes legislation, regulation on visitor arrivals, and promotion. The bulk of last year's tourism investment went to accommodations and non-residential buildings at 64.5%. This was followed by machinery and equipment products at 16.4%, passenger transport equipment with over 15%, and other tourism assets at about 4%. Asian Institute of Management Associate Director John Paulo Rivera says these results are unsurprising since the Philippines has been very aggressive in strengthening tourism infrastructure. However, Rivera believes that these funds will no longer be used as intended given the impact of COVID-19 on the sector. The pandemic has brought to the forefront the need for businesses to make that much needed digital shift, with restrictions expected to be in place for the foreseeable future. And one leading software company has been paving the way, Multisys Technologies. Now, to talk about how the threats of the crisis actually opened up doors of opportunities, we have their CEO and founder, David Almirol Jr. Sir David, good morning. Nice to have you here with us on the show.
Good morning.
All right, sir. So e-commerce, as expected, experienced a boom with the crisis, forcing consumers and businesses alike to actually go online. Question now is, how has this impacted Multisys businesses?
COVID-19 accelerating the shift toward digital various industries, including a lot of industries now in the Philippines, including education, healthcare, academia, and banking and finance. So I think we need to expand our operation. It affects also our operation in terms of hiring people.
But at the same time, of course, much of it is benefit when it comes, of course, when you to you guys actually acquiring new business opportunities here. So how much of an uptick did you see in demand for software developments since the onset of the pandemic?
Multisys has hired additional 100 employees already since March just to keep up with the influx of new projects, Jester. We plan to hire more, at least 150 more developers, project managers, analysts, and other support teams, and among others. Yeah.
But other than, of course, acquiring new talents here, you have managed to at least acquire new partnerships here with other businesses here. What industries did you see sudden interest from, any sector that surprised you?
Before, we're doing a lot of things already in these industries, but before there's no such thing as urgency. Now we see a lot of urgency now. So especially on the in the e-commerce side, the e-government side, and we're expanding a lot in the e-banking and finance as well. And I think all kind of industry now, they would like to have their own digital play. So left and right expansions on all kinds of industries, Jester.
Mhm. But mostly, what are the requirements here? What, in terms of course, it's a given that there's a digital push here, especially with the pandemic in the background here. But normally, what system requirements do they ask from Multisys?
Normally enhancing what they have. Normally, if they have their own platform, but it will not operate with this new normal now. So we need to enhance a lot of modules and features. Like we have to add a lot of contactless features in it, cashless features in it, paperless features in it. So those are the modules that we have to modify or revise on their own operation now.
Mm-hmm. And normally, can you give us an idea, or at least a number, how many clients have expressed interest here with the services of Multisys since the start of the pandemic?
We onboarded additional 50 clients for the past couple of months, and we're eyeing into getting more. But of course, we cannot get those kind of burden to the company without building also the capacity of the company. So meaning we need to strengthen the capacity by hiring more people because the foundation of Multisys is basically our people.
Mm-hmm. And how exactly are you beefing up your manpower, and especially when it comes to training and development of IT professionals here?
Yes, because we need to bring them in one team. So we have to train them. We had to make them familiarized with the system that we have because we are more on the collaborative and closed loop approach. But because of the work from home method, we have to implement also a digital play so that we'll be able to manage them in a way that they will be more efficient and more productive.
Mhm. And at the same time, are you looking at partnerships here with international firms or other service providers here when it comes to training and development for your IT professionals?
We engage some, but since we have a huge army of people that can train people, so since we have like a train your trainers approach, so I think those are the things that we need to expand, and we're partnered with several foreign groups as well to enhance our skills and capabilities.
Mhm. And it seems as though there's going to be no shortage of IT professionals here, at least for you guys.
No, I think we Filipinos are ready. We have a lot of IT professionals. It's all about bringing them together in one team because a single person cannot do the job. So it's more on like making them move like one, to make sure that they're efficient.
Mhm. Now, at the same time, of course, when you're talking about this digital economy here, one industry that's been making the transition as well is the education sector. And this, in this regard, you have already made strides here with the development of Schoolbox. Tell us more about that and how exactly will it streamline online education?
Yes, the Schoolbox is an end-to-end platform. It's not just an e-learning, but we also embed a lot of school management system in it. Of course, with the new normal, we need to give digital tools to parents, to students, to faculty members, and to make sure that they can still operate with the new normal operation, especially in the academic industry.
Mhm. So, what schools have already expressed interest in the services of Schoolbox here? At the same time, have you gained support as well from the Department of Education?
Yeah, so we are partnered with PLDT since they're very dominant in terms of giving them connectivity. So currently we have like 12 universities and school working with us now, implementing their e-learning and school management system. But with the help of PLDT, we'll be expanding into uh, more client-based approach in the next couple of months.
All right. Now, at the same time as well, you've also made some developments here when it comes to contact tracing efforts. You have the Stay Safe app. What's the latest development here? It has been under fire recently in questions over limitations and security issues.
We're doing well and stay safe. We are implementing nationwide. It's quite a massive task, Jester, because we're
Mhm.
implementing. Imagine that joining force together between the government and the private, implementing more than 1,600 cities and municipalities. it's really not easy, but good news because we are implementing not only in the Philippines, so we're able to, we're currently implementing now to 5 more countries, 4 in Southeast Asia and 1 in Europe. So you will hear a lot of good news from us soon about this pandemic mitigation platform that we're able to develop.
Wow, can you tell us more about the specific markets here that you're tapping here in Asia and Europe?
It's quite amazing because some international group, they're able to assess which platform are the best in terms of saving lives and helping people. And some international group partnered with us to implement to their specific country. But of course, we have to modify the Stay Safe platform to become like a user specified in a specific country. So we're quite lucky that they got us as their partner.
But how exactly do you address security issues here, especially when it comes to contact tracing app? That has been at the forefront here when it comes to contact tracing efforts.
As long as you are transparent, and we always bring or embed data privacy and cybersecurity by design. That's our lifestyle in Multisys. So we're not just launching a solution here. We always embed cybersecurity and data privacy by design. So we were being guided, and in terms of compliance, we always do that. And I guess as long as we are transparent, as long as the users know that the purpose of this app is to protect themselves, and as long as we can gather a lot of trust and confidence that we can take good care of their data, and at the same time we'll be able to to help them as well in their business and their lifestyle, because we need this. Contact tracing is a tool to make sure that we can go back with the new normal, because we cannot do everything in manual here.
Mm-hmm. Now, at the same time, when it comes to a general business here, data privacy will always be an issue when you're talking about making that digital push. How is Multisys addressing this, and how's the reception been like, at least for companies? Are they confident that security breaches will somehow be lessened or minimized as a partner with Multisys?
Yes, we are being guided by the NPC. We had like almost weekly meeting to them, and they're guiding us. They're very proactive on guiding us what to do. I think we are in the right track, Jester. And in terms of data privacy will not be a blocker, okay, to innovation. So this is a tool for us to be more. Number one, we have to be more transparent. Number two, we need to be aware that we have to protect someone's data. And number three, especially in the contact tracing, we need to make it anonymized in nature to make sure that there were no basic information being captured inside the Stay Safe. That's why we're working with several groups like the ILG, DOH, and the ICT. So we're being guided and we're complying, Jester.
Mm-hmm. Now, given that, how crucial is it now for companies to actually make that digital shift? Is it worth the cost?
It is, because we need to help each other. We need to make sure that we combine all the technology available to make sure that we can save lives and we can go back to our normal lives now. So I think this is a tool that we could use. So we're not mandating everyone to use it, but if they see that this is a solution for them to operate and go back to their own business fields, they have to use it. And if they're not comfortable or they have doubt of this is not helpful to them, so they have the choice. It's not even being mandated to them. So it's always a choice, and they have a control. And even Stay Safe, we're able to put a lot of features that the user, they are under control. So they have the right to do everything, okay, on their data. They can delete it if they like. They can unsubscribe if they like. Or the data also, we always delete the historical data up to 30 days. So for them to have a more trust and confidence using this.
Mm-hmm. Now, how far along do you see this push for digital shift happening beyond the pandemic? Do you see online continuously gaining traction even beyond the crisis?
Yes, there's a lot of traction. Well, not only IT companies, all other industries need to continue. Not only it will no longer be an option. They have to continue to play a crucial role in helping companies to adapt the new normal by embedding their own digital play. So I think digital transformation journey will become a necessity nowadays, Jester.
But it's also a question of how fast can companies absorb all these technological changes. Do we have the know-how and the efficiency in that regard?
As a Filipino programmer, we have that. No, it's all about, I think we need to start believing that we Filipinos are superb in terms of technological know-how. We have that. Wherever you go to Silicon Valley, you go to Google, you go wherever you go, you can see very good IT experts and programmers, and they are innovating a lot of countries. So why not here in the Philippines? I believe that we have that skill set, Jester, and we just need to start believing, that we Filipinos can do it. We Filipinos can enhance and innovate our own industry, and including our e-government and e-business and e-technology. We're quite, we are there. We are on top of those technologies.
Okay, so what's the outlook now for Multisys? What should we be expecting, especially with the pandemic? We're seeing no end in sight, at least yet, for the foreseeable future. What's the outlook now for Multisys?
We're closely collaborating now with a lot of partners because our business is more on partnership in their digital transformation journeys, which will enable them to adapt to the need of their stakeholders. So since technology is ever changing, evolving, it is important for IT companies to continue equipping their developers, with their knowledge and combining the strength together. The only way to create a shortcut here, Jester, is to not to repeat something. So if they see that they are on radio platforms already, that not only Multisys, a lot of IT companies in the Philippines, they'll be able to adopt, combine, integrate, and I guess we can still cope up.
All right, more opportunities definitely when it comes to that digital push. Thank you very much for your time this morning, David Almirol Jr., CEO and founder of Multisys Technologies Corporation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jester.
Okay, now time to have a quick check of what's happening in the local markets. Now 10:56 a.m., last trading day of the week here, and the index extending those declines, dipping now 0.2%. We are inching closer to that 6,000 level here, 6,016.19. As you can see here, over the past 3 days at least, you have the index already declining close to 2%. Let's have a check here of our leaders and laggards at the start of the trading day here. You'd see DMCI still leading the pack here. They are up 2.6%. Jollibee likewise is also making some headway here, up over 8%. Metro Pacific as well is up 0.9%. Recall as well that they have been ramping up, of course, their hospital units have been ramping up their telemedicine programs and platforms as well. Meralco is also in the green, 0.9%. There's also Semirara, which is in the green still, 0.3%. PLDT, of course, after that telco news that, you have authorities now streamlining requirements for shared telco towers. They are in the green, 0.6%. There's also Bloomberry. However, on the other end of the spectrum, leading our worst performers here, down 2.7%, as well as a number of conglomerates here like Ayala, now inching lower, 0.9%. Now from there, let's focus on one specific stock here. I was mentioning it earlier in the day, ABS-CBN. They did resume trading yesterday. And we did see the stock closing down by as much as 30% here. And they are extending those losses today at least. And this despite developments, despite the company saying that they are already in discussion with creditor banks over their long-term debts. They are confident, however, that their payment obligations won't be affected by the non-renewal of their franchise, meaning that their obligations will be met, despite, of course, the House decision severely affecting their media networks and studio production, and in turn, free-to-air advertising, which is 50% of their consolidated revenue, at least as of 2019. ABS-CBN, according to them, they are going to continue to operate in other businesses that do not require franchise. That includes international licensing and distribution, digital and cable businesses, and syndicated content via streaming. However, that does not seem to be those assurances do not seem to at least be cheering investors here. The stock is now down 26.5% to 7 pesos and 67 centavos a piece. So far, since they have resumed trading here, ABS-CBN is already down by 48.5%. Now, things seem to be boding well. On the other hand here, for Dennis Uy, and his resorts company, that is PH Resorts Group here. They are opening Emerald Bay Casino in Cebu by the second quarter of 2022, but an early opening might actually happen by next year. A quick check, however, of how the stock rather is performing here. PH Resorts Group still flat here, not much of a movement here, pricing at 2 pesos and 36 centavos a piece. And that's a first look into the business day this Friday, July 24, 2020. Catch us again Monday next week at 10:30 a.m. I'm Jes Delos Santos. We are One News.